So since the new Resident Evil show has been released to not very favorable reviews, I thought I would look back at the movie that came out last November that literally nobody saw or liked. And it's not like the trailer had nobody watching it. I mean, Halloween Kills main trailer had only slightly more views, yet made like 100 million more at the box office despite being released when people still weren't as willing to go in the theaters, reviews that weren't that much better, like 6% better, and also streaming on Peacock at the same time. So why did this movie fail? Well, you could look at the movie to see why, which is what I'm going to do soon, but I'll give another reason. Unlike Halloween Kills, some of the problems weren't blatantly shown in the trailer, like the shitty CGI despite the $25 million budget, the bizarre tone along with the characters and sets from Resident Evil 1 and 2, despite them taking place months apart, I believe. I don't know that much. So all these problems in the trailers definitely turned off some people, and they made that abundantly clear in the comments of either the trailer or the few reviews of this film. And honestly, that's quite depressing. I'm not a fan of the series, only because I've never played the games. I might play them sometime. I just haven't used my Xbox that much and stuff. But to see this several times it's been adapted and fails makes me feel bad for it. The most popular iteration being the Paul W.S. Anderson films, but even before that, George A. Romero of the Night of the Living Dead fame, along with his sequels, and probably a few other movies fame, made a couple of drafts for a script in the 90s, like late 90s I believe, but apparently it would cost too much and would be too violent, which I find funny considering how in 1999 Deep Blue Sea came out, which cost up to 82 million or around like 60 million, it says like that range, and was quite violent itself, but I guess Resident Evil at the time may not have been as financially successful as shark films or something like that. Either way, after that happened, Paul W.S. Anderson, who directed Event Horizon with Sam Neill and Lawrence Fishburne, got to make his own movie. Actually, movies, technically even a franchise, is they're all financially successful. I think there's 6 of them, I think, or something like that. 7, it doesn't really matter. They're all like not very well received. 2 of them making over $300 million, while the others fell in the $100 to $200 million range. And like I said, they're all mostly panned by critics or just not very well liked, but a few were semi-liked by audiences, like 60% or something like that, until the final chapter, whose editing is so bad it manually gives anyone who dares to watch a full scene or two ADHD or something like that. Not too long after those movies ran their course, James Wong of Conjuring 1, 2, and Saw fame decided to make a reboot, or more so produce it, I think. And I mean like right after, because the news of him leaving was like in late 2018, and the final chapter was released in early 2017, but I guess late 2016 in some places, as some websites cite as a 2016 film, so yeah. Although from reading some articles, it seems like Wan was maybe annoyed that he was announced to be part of the reboot so early on, saying, quote, "They announced I'm attached to a lot of stuff, and a lot of them are not necessarily real," Wan said. "It's kind of annoying when things come and go or things never come in the first place. I hate it when my projects get announced. It makes it seem like I'm attached to a lot of things when in fact I'm not necessarily doing so many things. A lot of my stuff just gets announced and I don't want them to be announced, but people love to announce them." I don't want to put words in his mouth because that's not cool, but it seems he was interested when it got announced. He might have been annoyed though that people are now fully expecting it to be made, and if it were to be dropped or cancelled, people will be annoyed. I don't know, something like that. Not too long after that, around 2019 or so, Johannes Roberts ended up being the writer and director who also did the 47 Years Down movies and Strangers Pray at Night, along with smaller films like F/Failed, Storage 24, and Roadkill. The film also underwent reshoots, which makes sense considering how bad some of the effects look and how jumbled the story is. It eventually got released, praised for its fan service and faithfulness to the games, although that comes a bit into question during the film, and ended up being a modest success, but still got heavily trashed for some of its wonky story, bloated boring cast, and bad effects. And now with all that out of the way, let's get into the film. It begins inside the orphanage where we meet young Claire Redfield, who follows this creepy girl named Lisa Trevor into a tent. She treats her kindly, which will obviously come back later, but before anything else happens, she is caught by Dr. Birkin and sent back to bed. Cut to years later, with her in a truck with this dude driving while eating a hamburger, which I believe is a reference to the second game. I know some references because, well, obviously I watch a lot of horror movies and I'm bound to learn some stuff about this series. The trucker's a creepy perv because of course, and he ends up hitting a lady, but when they get out, all this dude does is curse some more, and this lady leaves with only a bit of infected blood for the doggo to lick. Because yeah, there's a dog, because I guess it's also in the game. I don't know. We then get the title card and a view of the town, or I guess city, a real small one too, as those only too poor to leave, or the skeleton crew for the Umbrella Corporation, or all that are there, I guess. Also, I don't know why, but the shot of the Raccoon City just looks so fucking weird to me. It just looks so fake. We then meet Leon, a complete incompetent buffoon. Look, there's a difference between a rookie cop for a part of this film, which it does for a little bit of the film, like fine, and a fucking moron. And while he's not as bad as some say, he's still a bland buffoon who just only gets better at the end. Like, at the very end. We meet Wesker, who's fooling around with him, Jill Valentine, and this dude I think named Richard.
Hey!
You snooze, you lose.
What?
It's Jill Sandwich now.
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
From two cops, we learn that Leon shot a dude in the ass, but because his dad is rich, he's still got a position as a cop, albeit a less comfortable place. Now, this could have actually worked for the character, having him start out as this dude who may be kind of nice, but is mostly spoiled and incompetent, but throughout the movie, the people he initially blows off as useless or below him help him see the errors of his ways and become a better cop, helping people survive and get out. Unfortunately, an arc like that is somewhat tried, but it's mostly him being a dumbass for 90% of the movie than magically being way better. Leon and Jill introduce themselves to each other, and Leon sees a waitress having a bit of a problem with her eye, already showing bad things are about to happen. The trucker stops off Claire, or drops her off, I guess, I don't know, and ends up being bit by his own dog, now infected, with some nasty ass effects. Not like bad, just like nasty and gross. There's a brief scene with Birkin before alarms go on, sending Chris away and Claire to be attacked by a crazy lady in a decently tense sequence. It's alright, because this film is chock full of mostly dumb moments, so to have something like this is a bit of a nice break, I guess, something actually kind of scary. She goes on Chris's bike and we cut to more characters. I mean, we only have a little over an hour left, but alright. We see Jill, Wesker, Chris, Richard, and another dude named Vickers, I think, who looks way too much like Richard. Well, I guess Rickers and Vicker could work, I guess, is a little joke. But they look so similar to the point that I'm convinced it was supposed to be a visual gag, or at least some type of gag, but there isn't. I mean, Vickers and Rickers could have maybe been a joke or something like that, like older twins, but nothing like that is tried. There's also Chief Irons, who's a complete ass, and Leon, who enters just to be bullied.
Year of his death in what the fuck are you doing here, Leon?
You said everyone into the briefing room, so here I am.
Okay, one, have you noticed the people in this town and how most aren't okay? And two, why does it feel like a scene written by the hater of this character, someone who hates this character so much? Because it just seems like he fucking hates this dude and just wants to dump on him. I mean, with everyone laughing, it seems so like, way to laugh at this asshole. Okay. Chief Irons talks about how Bravo team is missing, though I don't recall anyone mentioning that before, except like a body found in Spencer Mansion. Can you tell how cobbled together and rushed this film is? If so, then good. They get their stuff and Wesker finds his advice because he's working for another company that barely gets talked about, and even he's like, it doesn't matter, although, it kind of would. I would like to know about it, but alright. He also gets notified when Raccoon City will be destroyed. 6 a.m. Either way, we get a flashback with Claire being walked towards the family going to adopt her, and among other things. The truck from earlier goes way past him and explodes right in front of the police station, yet Leon some fucking how doesn't hear him. Oh no, it's because he has earbuds on, oh no! Seriously, do you hate this character or what? He literally doesn't hear until an arguably quieter noise, a gunshot, shoots the zombified trucker and kills him for good. Okay. Chief Irons wisely packs up and decides to leave, leaving Leon in charge. We cut back to the guys going to the Ugly Mansion, just now at about 42 minutes in, with less than an hour left, about 56 or so to be exact. They do find not the mansion, but the Bravo team, I guess, I don't know, like this truck or something like that, along with this weird-ass bird. That would have been a better opening, seeing this Bravo team being taken out and maybe having some well-known actors playing them. And because they managed to take out some of these zombies or whatever, it's clear that they're the best at what they do, so when they die it's kind of a shock, and at the second best rise to the occasion, or have to, or something like that. I again haven't played the game, so this might be wildly different, but it seems better, and honestly, yeah, they stuck to being in the mansion with a few more characters and flesh them out. They could have had a scary focused horror movie with a steady body count of humans, zombies, or whatever else, and not make this film feel so low budget. I don't know why they decided to go with this, because it's so weird. 25 million seems like enough. Hell, Greenland only had 10 million more to spare and had a way bigger scale and looked pretty good. The scale is about the world ending, so I don't know if they're too ambitious or what. It's not even that large of a movie. The scenes with the largest number of people are few and far between. Most of the time it's just 5 or 6 people and a couple of bad looking or sometimes decent looking zombies. And one part of the film is smaller scale and one is sometimes larger scale, but then tries to be smaller scale as well, is totally weird and very confusing, and interrupts what should be a scary feeling into a confusing, disjointed, amateurish mess. It reminds me of Godzilla King of Monsters. It feels like they're scared they'll never be able to do a sequel or another film like it, so they just cram everything in, ironically sealing that fate and making sure they don't get to, because if it flops or nobody likes it, thus the sequel being successful is highly unlikely. They leave Vicker in the helicopter, and I only know this because I searched up a list of deaths and he was the one who died in the helicopter. Richard goes with the others. They split up, Richard with Chris and Wesker with Jill, and we cut to Chief Irons trying to leave, but in a pretty cool one take he gets shot at along some others and drives away. I wish we saw more of this destruction and lockdown with the average citizen or something like it, but again, they should have saved this for the sequel. Chief Irons returns to an empty parking lot and a nice little scene with some good build-up with the dog from earlier, which is, I believe, now called a Cerberus. Unfortunately ends with Claire coming up absolutely nowhere and killing the thing, so I guess peripheral vision seems to be a thing unknown to movie writers.
Drop your gun, show me your head!
That's not a gun, you cum nut. Does that fire extinguisher look anything like a gun? Chris and what was his name? Oh, yeah, Richard. Find this dude being gnawed on by a zombie in a tense scene, but unfortunately works less because we already seen zombies before, so it's not like a big reveal. And even still, it's way too late into the film, or at least a bit too late. They shoot it dead, and the guy being gnawed on dies, and both Richard and Chris get swarmed with Richard dying. Oh no, the underdeveloped lookalike died. How will I ever recover? Vickers is too busy playing fucking Snake of all things and thus gets its ass clapped because of that and crashes the helicopter into the mansion, which in a good film focusing on one gang would be the inciting incident for it, and like be the inciting incident for several developed characters at around 25 or so minutes, not 59 nearly 16 minutes in when there's only 38 to 39 minutes left. What the hell? Also, Wesker used a device from before to open a special door. Oh, and that Ben dude from earlier is in a cell, and despite getting Leon's gun because of course he gets being competent over an hour into the film, he doesn't shoot the zombie near him, or so backs up near him and gets his ass killed, so this character really served no purpose because it didn't convince anyone that anything bad was happening. I guess maybe Claire, but she already thought this place was gonna be shit, so yeah. Wesker reveals he's kind of the bad guy. I mean, he's looking to expose an evil company, so I don't think that he's that bad, but I guess the script requires Jill to call him so yeah. And he leaves in the secret tunnel. Chief Irons finally gets killed after serving literally no purpose, and an hour and 13 minutes in by a liquor. But it just gets killed by Lisa Trevor, who's nice because Claire was nice to her earlier, I guess. Even though she was experimented on, and these people that we find later that were experimented on aren't exactly very nice to this defenseless, like, whatever you call it, dragonfly, so a little weird, but alright then. Also, how's she just allowed to roam free? She would be a threat to Birkin, right? So we just let her be? Wow, an underdeveloped and stupid villain. Great combo. We see the flashback of Claire escaping his job before Birkin could, I guess, experiment on her. Experiments we don't really know about. Her and Leon take an elevator down, and oh, Chris is alive? I thought he was being swarmed. Maybe I missed something? Okay. Leon and Claire find some old tapes or footage of the Ashford twins, which are the people I mentioned earlier, who I guess were in the game, but this just confuses me. It's so late into the movie, it feels very pointless and doesn't relate to the viruses as far as I know, which is bare bone knowledge, like references in this film. Watching as a non-fan just confuses me and helps to explain why I probably did so poorly. It's only for a niche group of people that wouldn't be able to support movies like this with so much money. The reason the other actual Resident Evil movies, not actual, but the other ones that actually did well, probably because other people could watch them, because I don't believe they relied on as heavily on it. I don't know though, I'll have to watch movies. But this whole studying on the children thing was probably better explored in the game, but not here. It just feels like a footnote in this already overcredited film. I mean, Kaya Scodelario, if that's the correct pronunciation, is trying her best and almost makes it work, but that's about it.
William, what have you been doing down here?
Yeah, that's a good fucking question. Hell, what even is the difference between the G and T virus? I guess one makes people into weapons, or maybe both? Yeah, what a descriptive description.
God's work.
That's not a helpful answer, me Birkin, you ass. I'm still confused. So are many others likely. Actually, no, because many others would imply a lot of people saw this film, which isn't true. Tickets cost like $10 or so, so realistically only a couple million people saw this film, which is much less than you would think, I guess. Most were fans who were probably just happy to get some references and didn't actually think about the story too much, or who knows, maybe they did. That's kind of why the movie did so poorly, but the audience score is semi-high, but only around 60%, so there were probably a decent amount of fans that were probably just annoyed that, you know, we got some references, but other stuff is like so butchered, like Leon and other characters, because that's what I've been hearing, and I'm glad, because Leon is such an ass in this movie. I can't believe he would be a likable character, like a, you know, respected favorite character. This is how he acted. Also, I thought an outbreak already happened, or was that just foreshadowing? Also, how are those couple soldiers able to contain however many people are in this town? That would be nice to see, you know, and explain. Wesker finds Birkin and the two shoot each other.
Just hand me the files. Okay, don't do anything stupid, lady, okay?
Well, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Well, Birkin injects himself with something, whatever it is, and Wesker gets shot and almost dies, or I guess actually dies, I guess. He just gets brought back later. The 5 remaining survivors, Chris and Claire Redfield, Jill, Liana, and Birkin's kid, all make it to this train and get on as it becomes 6 a.m. and the mansion crumbles apart, I guess. I thought it was a nuke that was just going to set off, but alright, I guess a sinkhole, you know, sinkhole de Mayo becomes a thing, and it messes up the train, and this thing shows up.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
This horrendous looking effect of a final boss shows up with Birkin's face near it and like skull. So like, what is this thing? Like, it was quite literally never set up before, except when Birkin briefly transformed his hand into what you get when you masturbate too much to the point one arm is significantly stronger than the other. But unless I missed a line, this was horribly set up. Don't you love villains that only show up way too late in the film and do quite literally nothing of value beyond being in the trailer and kill one nameless person maybe, or just do literally nothing? Oh my gosh. Oh, and Leon has a fucking RPG? Because why not? And is somehow proficient in it enough to kill Birkin whatever thing? Okay, and the villain doesn't even try to back away or just grab it or something. Because, you know, I mean, he's strong as shit. You would expect maybe he could catch it. I mean, Black Adam is, you know, just Dwayne Johnson with some more steroids. But he's able to catch a missile. It's just kind of weird. It just kind of blows up like Delta. Just kind of reminds me of that. Like, just a random explosion doesn't do anything. But that was actually explainable because... Actually, no, not really. I guess it was just focused on Chris Pratt's character. Oh yeah, and the nuke finally goes off and we don't see it from the town we saw, but rather a part of it with a farm we never saw. Would have been an interesting location. Oh, and a cow flies into the air. Nice. The film ends with the five surviving and Wesker meeting Ada Wong, who gives him his trademark glasses because the side effect of bringing him back from the dead is bad eyesight or something. Yeah, that was the movie. Resident Evil, welcome to nothing. Because this will probably not result in anything. And it's kind of sad because I can see the elements of a good movie. It's just that they should have focused on the Arkley Mansion, bring back a few characters. They should have focused on like maybe 6 to 8 characters, develop them so that you can have a steady body count of people you care about. You know, not necessarily like a death every 5 or 10 minutes, just, you know, every like 15 to 20 or something like that. Just have characters go through crazy events that are somewhat grounded. This, you know, maybe have better effects. I don't know, because 25 million seems like a lot, but apparently it's just not for this movie. I don't know, it's bizarre. Like, I'm looking it up and it seems like it was 25 million, which is bizarre because that's actually quite a bit of money. So I don't know, it's just so weird. The movie could have been good. It seems like a basic concept to do well. I mean, the sequels I can understand maybe being a bit convoluted because there's a lot, but I don't understand how they managed to make this so confusing and weird when they could have just explained it in a 90-minute movie, set in the Arkley Mansion with like 6 to 8 characters, maybe even a little bit more, with the Cerberus, the liquors, and all that stuff, and just do an entertaining, gory, survival film with an interesting story so that people who are mostly not into horror films could still like it for a nice story and good characters and maybe even an interesting theme. But no, that won't get explored ever, and it's just kind of depressing. It's an interesting concept. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, it's free. You can see some of my other videos. I'd recommend watching that previous video I made though, because that's like pretty good quality, and I think pretty enjoyable, and what's to show for future content or whatever the hell. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time, whenever that is. Bye bye.